that's happening now. No, I am. Yeah, generally. But I usually think people feel a certain way for the same way, when, like, Steve Jobs, for example. The iPhone was not something that people wanted because they didn't know it existed. They were wanting a better phone. And when they think of a better phone, they don't think of a phone with 0 buttons. They think of a phone with the same amount of buttons but a bigger screen above it. They don't think about a touchscreen. They think about a more responsive interface. That's not something that gives you a direct connection to the iPhone. You need to actually create the iPhone via the currently existing things such as multi-touch, GPS, and all these other things, and realize after building that this is what the people want. You cannot, with what that is, base everything off of what people want. Thus, even though people's feelings should be taken into account, they should not be taken into total account. As in, people in this world, in this society, when they want something, you see it as a sign that there is something that is missing from the current puzzle piece, or from the current puzzle that is the world and society itself. People can function in a complete and total circular life, rather. They don't have any problem doing that. If you leave them to their own devices, they end up just walking in circles and never changing. It is when interference from Zog, for example, comes into the mix that it causes them to actually change their lives and change their livelihood to the point that they start feeling unsatisfied and soulless with everything in their world. People in Africa who follow God, who have nothing in their life, are often happier than people in the most developed countries in the world. That is because of the fact that their lives are being interfered with. While the Africans, yes, much of their lives have been interfered with, a lot of that is just poverty brought on by the fact that there's a massive brain drain in societies such as most of the African continent. If you want to solve problems that people have in the modern world, you need to augment what they have in their current life with something they did not know existed. Thus, you don't prioritize people's feelings over the things that you know can be done in this world. And if that means hurting people, if that means attacking people, if that means basically treating people like slaves temporarily, it is worth it in the end when they see the product that you're creating out of their feelings. I do, yes. I don't really care. I care if I need to care, but I don't really care otherwise. No, not unless I'm leading it. Yeah. No, actually, yeah, a little bit. Because honesty isn't really possible. There are concrete things, like this atom exists. There is an atom right here that I can look at. I can see that atom. Well, I can't see it, but it's there, and I know it, and I'm looking at it, so therefore it must exist. But that atom's existence is a more concrete thing than whether or not someone looks good to society, whether or not something is subjectively good. I am willing to be dishonest with people, because there is a reality distortion field that you can create around you. You can talk to people, you can discuss things with people, and if you discuss it in a way that they do not normally hear it discussed, you can change the entirety of society's opinions on it once these people recurse that opinion across their friend groups, and those friends do it across their groups. There will be a distorted image of what you communicated, but there will be a closer image to what you have communicated rather than the current image that exists in society. Therefore, being dishonest with a person over something subjective is totally normal and actually worth doing. I do, yes. I do, yes. I do, yes. I don't, no. I do, yes. But not fully. No, I don't care. Yes. Yes. Perhaps. Generally. But I do take it into account. Yes. Yes. No. Well, depends. Neutral. No. No, I find myself constructing something out of what my heart communicates into my brain. It's a whole separate thing. This is a false dichotomy. This is basically like when the news media is two different global entities run by the Rothschilds and Larry Fink, Klaus Schwab, Rupert Murdoch, and all of these people, the Irish people and the Jewish people, working together to create a far-right playbook and a far-left playbook that take you down the same path, the same very path that leads you down to a socialist society where there is no individuality and no individuals can do anything other than be slaves to the high elites. It does not matter what path you take. If you take the left-wing path, the government has a monopoly on crime. The government has a monopoly on corporations and everything to do with producing products and innovation. The government has a monopoly on all of that. You go down the far-right path, there is a technocracy, the same technocracy that the government would have a monopoly over, except instead of there being a government, there is a paralegal sort of corporate feudalism going on in society. And if you have a corporate neo-feudalism that controls the world, you have a world government. It is no different. The NGOs of the world are essentially doing that and engineering all of the world to be like that slowly over time. It does not matter who you support. And this same kind of false dichotomy here is a implicit psyop to convince you that there are only two arguments to something, when you can in fact construct the future on your own and fight against these actual demons and goblins in society with very little effort, because they do not stand for their own ideas. They do not stand up for themselves. They have a whole network of other parts of them that they need to depend on in order to keep themselves self-validated. If you want to allow that to keep existing, you stay silent and you don't wake up. If you wake up and you fucking speak out against these people, they will fail. They will lose. You can win this war. You can defeat these fucking goblins and these Zionists and monsters. Everything in society can unite against this, and it will not take that long. There are people, there are agents in this world that are compromised by them. You look at the TikTok females, the ones that aren't rage baiting. They are, in fact, just agents of this individual fucking chaos. It comes from one tribe of people. So I consider my heart.
Esse é o DJ Bulldog, o cachorrão das
Yeah. You can look back on things, but you shouldn't fully second guess anything. What Pirate Software does in the world, it's not inherently actually incorrect for Pirate Software to be who he is and how he is and act how he does. The reason why Pirate Software is incorrect is because he's an idiot. It's not because he quadruples down on things. He shouldn't have to have the humility to apologize. The problem is he's too stupid to be right about everything. So he fails, and he should be weeded out of the gene pool. Fuck Pirate Software for that reason. Not because he quadruples down. You should quadruple down on everything you know is factually correct, and you should give no leeway to the people who are trying to destroy the future of humanity. You fucking loser. Get with the times. Fight against these people. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Generally, yeah. No. Little bit no. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, of course. It depends. I'm very good at putting on a mask around people. Everyone who meets me has a different perception of me because I'm essentially just a psychopath trying to convince everyone to start liking me. It's very easy for me to convince people that I am their best friend and that I can be someone that they'll never have to worry about, that will never backstep them, that will never hurt them, that will never attack them, that will never swat them, that will never dox them, that will never come after their patents, their family, the companies that they try to start, try to commit tax fraud on their behalf so that they get police at their door, that the IRS takes their home, that the fucking... I will. But they won't know that. I'm pretty good at it, yeah. It's very rare that someone doesn't trust me inherently. Maybe. Depends what. If I'm being hypnotized, my plan is to get back into hypnosis. Yes. No, I'm very interested. No. I control my emotions. The problem is that you can use them. It's like controlling the ocean. Being able to take your hand and just push on the waves in the ocean and then see those waves go, and they're fucking crazy. And you know what you do? You ride those waves. And you know what happens after you ride those fucking waves? You have a crazy idea that you had no idea you could even create, that nobody ever theorized before you. You can ride the waves of your emotions, but you're doing that by choice. You're doing it by choice, and you created those waves. You control your emotions. You have to understand that, and if you don't, that means that your conscious is compromised by your subconscious, and your subconscious is compromised by the collective unconscious of social media, which is controlled by Zog and Benjamin Netanyahu, Larry Fink and Klaus Schwab. They control the media. I feel sick. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Depends who. Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't mean I don't want to have connections. It's like, I want to be... You know how in The Sims you have all... Or like Hoi 4. You're silently taking over the Soviet Union and invading Poland and invading the UK and invading France. And you make all of these puppet states. You do that without saying a single word to these people directly. You telegraph it. You fucking communicate it without having to leave a room. That is what I want my life to be. No, but I think it can be used to actually psyop people. I believe that there are people in this world that are actually going to go out there and tell you that you should think about this, you should debate about this, you should think about all this, and never actually do anything with your life. Just occupy your mind with this. And the people who do that, the thing is with them is that they actually always want these philosophical questions to occupy your brain more than actually solving any real problem in the world. You should ponder abstract philosophical questions, but not if it's being fucking spoon-fed to you by the mainstream media and the Jews. I do, but it's because I want to go to work. And when you go to work, you see other people working. So I say it's mostly agree. If a decision feels right to me, I do often act on it, but that doesn't mean I don't try to get further proof. I do this thing called being a dynamically existing fucking agent, where I'm not just sitting there being like, oh, I need academia validation. I can do things where I envision this in a dream. I take initiative. I start fighting for this. I take risks, and then I start finding the things I need to do to make corrective measures to make sure that this actually coexists with reality itself and with God itself, not with the society around me. I can transform the society around me because the people are sheep. They follow anything that has dominance over them if you know how to dominate them. If you know how to take over something that's in front of them at all times and presently manipulates their mind and subconsciously tries to subvert their actual opinions and subvert their genetic and physiognomic opinions of the world and how they would normally act, you can control their opinions, and therefore you can make things right when other people would assume they're wrong, because you can control that. You can control your destiny. It does not take that much effort. I do not. I do actually complete things while skipping steps, because you can come back to anything later. See, time, if you see fourth dimensionally, is equal to the third dimension. If you have something that's right in front of your eyes, and then there's another thing to the right of you, and there's another thing to the left of you, and you're told, get rid of one of these things, but you have to get rid of all three eventually. You can get rid of any of those, and then get rid of the other two whenever you want. The same thing applies to time. If you start seeing things at all times throughout prehistory to now, to every period of existence that's ever happened in this multiverse, you can in fact manipulate reality. You can do any task at any time, start it wherever you want and end it wherever you want, and do things wherever, however fast. It does not matter. You do not need to worry about what steps you do. I do prefer tasks that require me to come up with creative solutions, but not because they require me, more because everything requires you to. It's not some silly little fucking challenge, it's life. I am absolutely not more likely to do that.
Esse é o DJ Wizard, caralho. O bruxo das Américas.
I am other. Every time I do this test, I get the same result!